Okay, welcome to Note 0.5, Finding Slope from a Graph. So, before we talk about slopes, the most important thing is you read slopes and graphs from left to right. So important, just like a text message. Now, if you have a positive slope, that goes up, so it goes in an upward fashion. Negative slope goes down, goes downward. Zero slope is flat, so we have a side-to-side horizontal line. And then an undefined slope is straight up and down, okay? Like this, it's a vertical line. One of the ways you can remember slope is using Mr. Slope Man. So if you want to draw him, you're more than welcome. His one eyebrow with the open eye is the positive slope. His winky eye is the negative slope. His nose is our undefined slope. And his mouth with some cheeks here is representative of your zero slope. So, finding slope from a graph. Slope is always a fraction. Sometimes we'll actually see it as a fraction, and sometimes it won't look like a fraction. But the up and down part of your, when you move up or down, that's the top part of your graph. Up represents positive, down represents negative. The bottom part of your fraction represents if you move right or left on your graph. If you go to the right, that's a positive thing. And if you go to the left, that's a negative thing. I'm going to use some abbreviations for up or down. So I'm going to use U for up, a D for down, R for right, and L for left. So let's look at our first example here. Our first example, we have a line that's going downwards. So that means I have a negative slope because it goes down when we go from left to right. Now, when I go from one dot to the next, I go to the right 1, that's what this R1 means, and then I go down 4, that's what this D4 is. So when I write that math-like on my slope here, the down is the top, so that's the -4, right is the bottom, and it's positive. I can simplify this. I can simplify it to just a -4. And I can always check if something simplifies using my calculator. So what I would do is I would do this -4 divided by 1 and see how it simplified for me. That's good. So that would be my actual slope that I'd most likely see in an equation. Is this wrong? Absolutely not. Just this looks a little bit more classy. So let's look at number 2 here. So number 2, our slope is going upwards. So this means we have a positive slope, right? Because it goes up. Now let's figure out how we go from one side of the equation to the other. So I see that I go up 2, and then I go to the right. I go to the right 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I go to the right 5. Okay, so I'm going to fill out my fraction. And I went to the right 5, and going to the right is a bottom of the fraction, and it's a positive thing, so I have a positive 5. And then I see that I go up 2, that's the top of the fraction, and it's positive, so I have 2/5. Now, I can't simplify this, but I can always check. If I do 2 divided by 5, you should have seen that. So nothing's changed here. So again, if you do that in your calculator, 2 divided by 5, change that to a fraction, you hit math, hit enter, enter again, and see how it's still 2/5. So nothing's changed. This is good. Now let's look at the next problem here. So we have a straight up and down line. Well, what does that mean again? Let me look at my notes. If it's straight up and down, it's undefined. So this is kind of one of those nice, easy problems. It's undefined, which means we don't have a slope. So our slope is also undefined. There's a whole mathematical reason for this, but if you look at it, you go up 2, right? Go up 2, but you don't go right at all. I'm sorry, you go up 2 and you don't go right, so you go right 0. So that means you have 2 over 0 if you wrote out your slope. And if you try to type 2 over 0 or 2 divided by 0 in your calculator, it says error because you cannot divide by 0, which is why it's undefined. I know that's super crazy, but it's actually how it works. That's why it's undefined. You can't figure out math without with a 0 being divided. So Next up, we have a flat line. Do you remember what a flat line means? So a flat line represents a zero slope because it's flat. So our slope is actually 0. Reason why? Well, I don't go up at all. So I don't go up or down. So I'm just going to say it's going up 0. But in this case, I'm going to the right 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to the right 5. So if I write that as a fraction, I have 0 over 5. Now, this is where you got to be careful, okay? I can actually do 0 divided by 5, and I get 0, which is why it's called the zero slope, because your slope is 0. All right. So if you need more examples, I will do some more with you later on in class. But if you're like, I got this, Miss Rawolf, then absolutely go ahead and do your exit ticket and start on your homework. Right here is the most important information that you need. So make sure you have this part definitely filled out.